7 powerful things cardamom does to your body after 60. Most people have no idea. Open your spice cabinet right now. There is a good chance cardamom is in there somewhere. A small jar, maybe half forgotten, pushed to the back behind the cumin and the paprika. You might use it occasionally in baking, or you have seen it in chai recipes. But most people who have cardamom in their kitchen have no real idea what it does inside the body. And for adults over 60, what it does is worth knowing. Cardamom has been used as medicine for more than 4,000 years across South Asia, the Middle East, and Scandinavia. Modern research has now tested many of those traditional uses in clinical trials, and the results are more promising than most people expect. I am going to show you 7 things cardamom does to your body after 60 that are backed by real science. And benefit 4 is the one that surprises almost everyone. Stay with me. Before we get into the list, here is something worth understanding. The main active compounds in cardamom, particularly 1,8-cineole, limonene, and alpha-terpineol, interact directly with inflammatory pathways, bacterial cell membranes, and vascular smooth muscle in ways that produce measurable changes in the body. Think of them as small molecular keys that fit specific biological locks. Several of those locks become more important to turn correctly as we get older. Benefit 1. It lowers blood pressure in a meaningful way. High blood pressure affects nearly 2 out of 3 adults over 60 in the United States. In a clinical trial published in the Indian Journal of Biochemistry and Biophysics, adults with newly diagnosed high blood pressure were given 3 grams of cardamom powder daily for 12 weeks. Both systolic and diastolic blood pressure dropped significantly, and antioxidant status improved at the same time. Researchers believe cardamom works partly as a natural calcium channel blocker, triggering a similar, milder relaxation of blood vessel walls as a class of common prescription medications. 3 grams is approximately 1 teaspoon added to coffee, tea, or oatmeal, a genuinely practical daily amount. Benefit 2. It reduces chronic inflammation across multiple markers. Chronic inflammation is the underlying driver of most conditions that shorten healthy life. After 60, cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, arthritis, cognitive decline. A 2023 meta-analysis published in Food Science and Nutrition reviewed 8 randomized controlled trials and found that cardamom supplementation significantly reduced 3 key inflammatory markers: high sensitivity, C-reactive protein, interleukin-6, and TNF-alpha. High sensitivity C-reactive protein is the same marker that came up in our recent video on gum disease and heart health. If your doctor has mentioned elevated CRP, cardamom is a spice worth discussing with them. The evidence is real, though the researchers noted cautious interpretation is warranted, given the relatively small number of trials. Benefit 3. It protects your heart by improving blood lipids. Patricia was 68, a retired nurse from Michigan. Her annual blood work had shown borderline high triglycerides for 3 consecutive years. Her doctor had recommended dietary changes. She had made them with limited results. She had not heard of cardamom. A 2024 study published in Biomolecules found that the bioactive compounds in cardamom improved cardiovascular health markers, specifically by reducing inflammation and improving blood lipids, including total cholesterol and triglycerides. This builds on earlier human trials showing that cardamom supplementation can lower LDL cholesterol and raise HDL cholesterol in people with metabolic risk factors. The mechanism is related to benefit 2, When systemic inflammation is reduced, the liver processes fats more efficiently. Less oxidative stress means less oxidized LDL, which is the particularly dangerous form that contributes most to arterial plaque buildup. Cardamom addresses several of these pathways simultaneously, which is why its effects on lipid panels are consistent with its anti-inflammatory effects. Benefit 4. It kills the bacteria that cause bad breath, cavities, and gum disease. This is the benefit that surprises almost everyone. And it matters more than it sounds, especially for adults over 60. Cardamom contains antimicrobial compounds, including 1,8-cineole, that actively disrupt bacteria in the oral cavity. Research published in the Journal of Contemporary Dental Practice found that cardamom extract significantly reduced the count of oral pathogens, including Streptococcus mutans, which is one of the primary bacteria responsible for cavities and tooth decay. A 2020 study found that cardamom's anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties specifically disrupted bacteria linked to gum disease and oral infections. People have chewed cardamom pods after meals for thousands of years. What we now know is that this is not just tradition. The compounds in cardamom actively reduce bacterial load in the oral environment. Given what we covered in our recent video on gum disease and its connection to heart attack risk, any habit that reduces oral bacterial overgrowth is worth considering seriously. Chewing 1 or 2 whole green cardamom pods after meals is the most direct method. Before we continue with the last 3 benefits, one quick thing. If you are finding this useful, the best way you can support this channel is hit that like button and subscribe. I read every single comment, and knowing this information is actually helping people is what motivates me to dig into the research and make these videos for you. So if that is the kind of straight, honest information you want, make sure you are subscribed. Now, back to it. Benefit 5. It calms digestive discomfort, bloating, and nausea. After 60, stomach acid production decreases and gut motility slows, leading to more bloating and digestive discomfort after meals. Cardamom has been used as a carminative, a gas-relieving digestive aid, for centuries. A review published in Pharmaconomy Research found that cardamom relaxes smooth muscle in the gastrointestinal tract, reducing cramping and bloating. Separate research has shown gastroprotective effects, suggesting cardamom may also help protect the stomach lining. George was 72, a retired contractor from Texas. He had dealt with post-meal bloating for years and assumed it was simply part of getting older. He started adding half a teaspoon of ground cardamom to his morning coffee. Within 3 weeks, he noticed a meaningful reduction in bloating after his larger meals. Adding cardamom to coffee or tea before or after a meal is one of the most practical ways to use it for digestive benefit. The relaxation effect on smooth muscle begins within minutes of consuming the active compounds. Benefit 6. It supports healthy blood sugar. A randomized, controlled trial gave 80 overweight pre-diabetic women 3 grams of green cardamom daily for 2 months. The cardamom group showed improved fasting blood sugar, lower insulin resistance, and better lipid profiles compared to placebo. Cardamom is not a replacement for evidence-based blood sugar management. But for someone managing pre-diabetes or trying to keep blood sugar in a healthy range through food and lifestyle, adding a teaspoon daily is a low-risk and potentially meaningful step. Benefit 7. It is one of the most antioxidant-dense spices available. Oxidative stress, the process by which unstable molecules damage healthy cells and DNA, accelerates significantly after 60. It drives cardiovascular aging, cognitive decline, and joint deterioration. Cardamom contains unusually high concentrations of antioxidant compounds for a spice. The 12-week blood pressure trial mentioned in Benefit 1 found that participants had significantly improved total antioxidant capacity by the end of the study. This systemic improvement helps explain why cardamom has measurable effects across so many different body systems. It is not targeting one pathway. It is reducing a foundational source of cellular damage. Here is how to use it. The dose in most clinical trials is 3 grams daily, roughly 1 teaspoon of ground cardamom. Half a teaspoon in morning coffee or tea, and half in an evening recipe is a practical way to reach that amount. Ground green cardamom is the form used in research and the most palatable for daily use. It works well stirred into coffee, oatmeal, yogurt, or smoothies. Whole pods chewed after meals deliver the oral bacteria benefit directly. And cardamom pairs naturally with ginger, cinnamon, and turmeric, other spices from this series, in ways that may produce additive anti-inflammatory effects. One caution: if you take blood thinners, diabetes medications, or blood pressure medications, discuss adding cardamom regularly with your doctor. At culinary doses, it is generally very safe, but because it has real effects on blood pressure and blood sugar, it can interact with medications that target the same pathways. If this video was useful, please tap the like button and drop a comment below. Have you been using cardamom, and in what? I would love to know how you use it. I read every single one. Disclaimer: this video is for educational purposes only and does not constitute medical advice. Always consult your doctor before making significant changes to your diet or supplement regimen, especially if you have existing health conditions or take prescription medications, including blood thinners, diabetes medications, or blood pressure medications.